Welcome back to the Church for Entrepreneurs podcast. This episode of our podcast is a daily study. Daily studies are short Bible studies designed to help grow your faith. As you grow your faith, you're able to successfully achieve the calling that God's placed in your heart. Let's listen to today's daily study. In today's message, we're going to look at having a heart to give to others without an expectation of receiving something back from the same people we gave to. All right, let's dig into this and so you can see what we're talking about here. Let's look at Luke 6, and we're reading verses 27 to 38 today. 27 says, "But I say unto you, which hear, love your enemies and do good to them that hate you." So Jesus starts off with this ideal of, I want you to love the people that don't love you back. And I want you to do good to the people that actually hate you. What Jesus is talking about, he's talking about giving to people who doesn't even desire to support or help you. Let's get verse 28. "Bless them that curse you and pray for them which despitefully use you." He's talking about for people who are trying to curse you, actually stop you from being successful, bless them, pray for them, even though they're trying to despitefully use you. So he's setting up again this idea that I want you to give into people where you can't get anything back from these people. Verse 29. "And unto him that smiteth thee on one cheek, offer also the other. And with that taketh away thy cloak, forbid him not to take thy cloak." So this is where we get this ideal of turning the other cheek. It's the ideal of giving to people who are trying to actually do something against you. Verse 30 says, "Give to every man that asketh of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again." Here again, notice what Jesus is doing here. He's saying, everybody who asks something from you, give. That's radical, right? That's a radical way of living. When somebody asks, you give. It doesn't mean you got to give them exactly what they asked for, but give them something. And even if somebody tries to take something away from you, don't ask them to return it, because when they take it away from you, that's still like you gave it to them. You can treat that as a seed as well. Verse 31, "And as you would that men should do to you, do you also to them likewise. For if you love them which love you, what think have you? For sinners also love those that love him." So Jesus is trying to bring home the message here a little bit. He's saying, if you love the people that love you back, what good is that? That's what sinners do. So Jesus is saying, if you give to people who only going to give back to you, that's not what we do as believers. That's what sinners do. Let's get verse 33. "And if you do good to them which do good to you, what think have you? For sinners also do even the same. And if we lend to them who we have hope to receive, what think have you? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much gain." So Jesus is saying here, if you lend to somebody with an expectation they're going to pay back the loan, you haven't done anything special. That's what sinners do all the time. Those who are without God will lend to people and expect a return on it. Look at verse 35. "But love your enemies and do good and lend, hoping for nothing again." Listen to this. Jesus is saying, love your enemies and do good and lend without an expectation of them returning anything back to you. I want to pause right now and say, some of you guys may hear, well, if I lend people money, then shouldn't I expect a return on it, like a bank or something? That's not the point of this particular message. So let's put that thought on pause and get into the heart of what Jesus is saying. Jesus is showing us this point that when you give to others, don't have an expectation that they're going to give back to you. Keep reading verse 35. "And your reward shall be great." Listen to what he's saying here. When you give to people without expecting those people to return anything back to you, you're going to have a great reward. It's radical to give to people without an expectation that those people are going to return anything back to you. But the way God works is that if you give, the law of seed, faith, and harvest kicks in. And so if you give to people who you're not expecting to return anything to you, he's still saying you're going to have a reward. And let's keep reading verse 35. "And ye shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil." Jesus is saying you're going to be God's children if you can give to people without having the expectation they're going to return anything back to you. That's like you being on a job and you see a coworker that's jockeying for position and you give them some extra information that can help them be successful, knowing they're going to take the information, use it for themselves, and not give anything back to you. That's what Jesus is saying. He's saying when you can give to people who are not going to return, or even people who's going to may try to do something against you, you're being like him, because that's what God does. When God gave Jesus to everybody who didn't even love him. Verse 36, "And be you therefore merciful as your Father is merciful. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you shall be forgiven." Here again, he's showing this ideal of giving mercy. right? Not judging, not condemning. These are giving terms here. And he wraps it up here in verse 38 with this simple idea: give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. With the same measure you meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. So Jesus is giving us the point of this whole thing. When you can give without an expectation of receiving anything in return from the people you gave to, he is saying other people other than the people you actually gave to give into you because you just gave. And so if you give a lot, he's saying you're going to receive a lot. And the point here is that we're not expecting the gifts or the giving to come back to us from the same people we gave to. And that's the critical heart that Jesus is trying to get us to see right here. He wants us to be givers to people where we don't even have an expectation that they're going to return anything back to us. He wants us to be a giver like God is a giver. And oh, by the way, when we give like this, we activate the law of seed, faith, and harvest. And he's saying men are going to give into our bosoms. We have an expectation that if we just give, God is going to give back to us. Maybe not from the same people we gave to, but from other people that God's going to move on their hearts, other opportunities that's going to come to us. So when I sow into the Church of Entrepreneurs, I see returns in other places. When I spend an hour or two on the phone in an advisement session, I'm not having an expectation that person's going to not try to hire me. I have expectations. I just want to serve them well, and I want to sow into their life. And because I sowed that seed, it's going to come back to me in other ways. It may not come back directly from that person, but it will come back to me according to the law of seed, faith, and harvest. So let's give to people who we have no expectation of them returning anything back to us, and then just watch God move in the hearts of other people to give into us. That concludes today's daily study, and I pray that it was a blessing to you. Before we wrap up, if the Holy Spirit is speaking to your spirit to partner with Church for Entrepreneurs, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner. Your partnership gives us the time and resources to minister to entrepreneurs around the world. Go to churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner. And if you want to connect with our ministry more, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com and join our online community. You guys be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.